thought, okay, well, I have things to do to finish developing my career, and I have to do them right now. I was finishing up my Ph.D. and I have to do that. There's no way around that. And so nothing can interfere with that because that's not going to be good for me or for my family. So that's one possibility. And then I thought, well, also, I don't know what the hell to do with an infant. And look, I'm a relatively maternal man. I worked with little kids. I've worked in daycares. I like little kids, and I'm more prone to take care of little kids than most men by temperament. But even so, infants, I don't know what the hell to do with an infant. So I thought, oh, well, maybe that's the problem. I don't have any problem with kids at all once they're sort of ambulatory, older than 9 months, let's say. But I would also say that your role is to take care of your wife while she takes care of the baby. So that means you got to watch her because this is going to tire her out. It's a full body experience for a woman, right? I mean, first of all, she's pregnant, and that's a hell of a thing, especially in the last month. Then she has to give birth, and, I think that's something men have no real comprehension of. And then she has to recover. And then that baby is desperately vulnerable and requires everything the woman has to provide for the first 2 months, and pretty much absolutely for the first 6 months. So you got to stand in the background and you got to watch her, and you got to make sure that she doesn't get overwhelmed, because that's when you need to be in there. You need to go in and say, look, you need a rest. You need to have a nap. I'll take care of the baby. I'll watch. And so everything's going fine, and I'll wake you up if it's necessary. But you got to spell her off. And so you need to make that arrangement. And, you think that's how it looks to me, is her primary responsibility is to take care of the baby, and your primary responsibility is to take care of her. And then you have to understand that she's going to be gone from you for 6 months. And if you can engage in that wholeheartedly, you can get to know the baby, and you can set the stage so that that baby is really well attached to the mother, firmly, and that'll save you so goddamn much trouble for the rest of your life. You can hardly imagine it, because that initial bonding, that's what provides the scaffold of security, the physical scaffold of security for that new person. And if that's disrupted, it's real trouble. In 6 months, it's not, an instant, but she's going to come back. When my son was born, when Julian was born, my daughter, Michaela, was only a year and a half old. And that's a bit of a tricky age gap, because a year and a half old kid still needs her mother quite a lot. And then you have a new baby. And if you have a year and a half old kid and then a new baby, the year and a half old kid looks like a teenager. It's they're not a baby anymore compared to a newborn. And so they can easily get kind of shunted aside, and that can produce a lot of sibling rivalry and jealousy and bitterness and alienation on the part of the older child. So we taught her very early to take care of the new baby, and to understand that if she established a relationship with him, that would be a benefit that she could derive from the new situation. She'd have 3 people to love instead of 2, and that's a good deal. The same applies here in relationship to your wife and the new child. It's you're going to have to let your wife go for 6 months. But if you're very careful with that, as I'm sure you will be, and you really take care of her, she'll come back to you, and then you'll have this other person, a daughter. You'll never have anybody in your life who loves you as much as your daughter will. If you do that right, and it'll be the same if you have a son. And that is a bloody good deal. I'll tell you, man, I loved hanging around when my kids were little. I would way rather be with them than anyone else. They were fun, and it helps if you have the right disciplinary structure in relationship to your kids, and you've worked that out with your wife. So I have a rule. It's a very good rule. Don't let your kids do anything that makes you dislike them. And if you discuss that with your wife and you make that a rule, you can note to each other, that kid's annoying us. That kid's being annoying. And then you can work together and you think, okay, what's annoying? How do we stop it? Because if he's annoying you, he's going to annoy everybody else. And if he's annoying, no one will like him. It's not good for the kid. But if you can get that right, there'll be nothing more enjoyable that you do in your whole life than spend time with your little kids, because they really want to like you more than anything else. And that's a great deal, man.